Hello guys and girls, welcome back to the Racing Line for another circuit guide here on iRacing. This is week 8 of season 4 2022 in the D-Class GT4 Falken Tyre Challenge fixed series, once again with me driving the Aston Martin Vantage GT4. This week's circuit is going to be a long one. It's the Nürburgring Nordschleife Gesamtstrecke VLN layout. The date and time is set to the 1st of the 4th 2023 at 6:20 in the evening to match the official race time sent out on the Season 4 PDF. Same format as before, breakdown lap followed by a full speed uninterrupted lap followed by an offboard lap. And as usual, this is filmed before the week has begun, so it's difficult to compare lap times. But let's see if we can help you guys find some time around this very, very long circuit. So for some reason the lap time is not showing in the top left. I think it's something to do with using the reset button so that I didn't have to do a full out lap every time, because this did take me a little bit of a while. But the sector times at the bottom when they come up are accurate, so you can use the sector times to compare at the bottom of the screen. First braking zone just before the 100-meter board, where the pavement turns into grass on the left hand side. Hard on the brakes from 5th down into 2nd gear, braking diagonally across, hit that apex, and now smoothly apply the power before we climb up the hill, get over to the right hand side, and now just a quick lift off in 3rd gear to hit this apex, and then smoothly apply the power again to come right out to the right hand side. Next braking zone is a tricky one. It's as the light patch of AstroTurf turns to dark. Just before there, we're going to get on those brakes from 4th down into 2nd gear. Our main aim is to keep 2 wheels on the circuit, but get 2 wheels on the curb on the left hand side. Hold it to the left, and then we're going to come out to around about the middle of the circuit as we go up into 3rd gear again, and then with a quick lift off as we turn into the right hander, again cutting that inside curb, we can then smoothly apply the power all the way to the exit, being careful not to run too wide or we'll get a 1x. Next braking zone's an easy one of the easiest ones on the circuit. It's the 100-meter board. Hard on the brakes from 4th down into 3rd. Our main aim here is to hold it tight to this right-hand side all the way round. You can see we actually lifted our wheels off the ground there. Didn't mean to do that, but we need to hit that 2nd apex before accelerating out to the right-hand side up into 4th gear. Next braking zone, the little blue building on the right. As that comes past our car, dab the brakes down to 3rd. A very light tap of the brakes down to 3rd. Get back on the power over to the left-hand side. And then there's another blue thing on the left. Just predict when that is passing our car. We're going to dab the brakes again in 4th gear, with our main aim is to hit this apex on the inside and then smoothly apply that power again right out to the edge of the circuit. You can take a breather now, as the GP layout is pretty much, the GP layout part of this circuit is pretty much complete. We've just got the chicane to go. So get over to the right hand side then, and our braking zone is in between the 100 and the 50-meter board, around the 75-meter mark. We're going to get on those brakes. We're going to go down into 4th gear and carry the speed through. Keep 2 wheels on the circuit at all times, or you will get a 1x and invalidate your lap. The next braking zone as we go onto the Nordschleife is just as the tyre wall on the right hand side is about to go out of shot. Hard on the brakes down to 3rd. Get it turned in and smoothly apply the power, as there's a big bump on mid-corner there that will unsettle the car. You can see the rear end got a little bit loose. Next braking zone is straight away pretty much. Just as we go past the orange Armco on the right, dab the brakes, keep it in 3rd, hold it tight to the left, and then accelerate out. And now you can take a quick breather again as you go up through the gears, and it's flat out through this. Come right out to the left though in 5th gear to make sure that this corner is flat, or you might need to lift there. And then keep it in 5th as you come down this track. Now, the braking zone's tough to spot in this sunlight. There's normally a paint line just there. It's about halfway down this straight. You can see we get hard on the brakes from down to 4th. Get close to that left-hand apex, but don't touch that curb before we downshift back into 3rd and chuck it into the right-hander. Smoothly on the power as we go back up into 4th gear. Again, over to the left-hand side, and as that curb ends, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to dab the brakes, go down to 3rd. We're going to mount the curb on the right-hand side a little bit, just a little bit, and it opens up this left-hander, and then we can avoid the left-hand curb, which is a little bit steeper, and accelerate out up into 4th gear. Now, the next one, braking zone, is that tree on the left, and it's going to be pretty much a mirror image again of that corner that we just did. Hard on the brakes, keep it in 4th this time though, mount the right hand side curb, and it opens up the left hander, and then it's flat out all the way down this back straight, and now you can have a breather. So that twisty section is the first difficult bit done, and now you're flat out for a good bit. We're going to have to lift off just over the crest of this corner though, a long right hander, lift off in 5th gear, straight back on that throttle, and then away you go. So now you can gather your thoughts. This is the fast section of one of the fast sections of this circuit. We go up into 6th here. We're not going to brake for this next left-hander coming up. We are just going to lift, and our main aim is to keep it tight to the left-hand side of the circuit. Keep it in 6th, quick lift, hold it tight to the left, with our braking zone being the end of the curve on the left-hand side. We're going to be hard on the brakes here from 6th down into 3rd gear, holding it to the left as long as we can before we turn in. Hold it tight to the right now as we go around this corner and accelerate out. You can use the exit curve if you want to. Now we're going downhill, up through the gears again, and we're approaching our first danger zone. A danger zone is what I call those zones. If you haven't learnt this circuit before, these are the ones that catch people out, and this is danger zone number 1. As we climb up the hill, you can see a little light patch of Armco on the right hand side. That's our braking zone. We're going to dab the brakes and go down into 5th. You can see about half pressure, down into 5th, get it turned in, and then a slight accelerate through that left-hander before we brake again on the white paint markings on the road, get it down to 4th and hold it tight to the right-hand side. We're then going to accelerate up the hill again, and just before the zebra crossing, just there, we're going to dab the brakes again, down to 3rd. We're going to open up this left-hander by being on the right-hand side of the circuit, and then we're going to accelerate all the way through this left. We're on the left-hand side of the circuit now to open up this right, and then we should be, at this point, we should now be able to put our power on to full power. Use all the track if you need to, and be careful of the rear end. It gets a little bit twitchy through there, but then we go up into 4th on the exit, and we're done danger zone number 1. Now, we're going downhill, so be careful of the brakes here. We're going to keep it in 5th for this next corner. We're just going to dab the brakes to get it turned in as the dark patch of tarmac turns to light. So dab the brakes in 5th, get it chucked in, coast into the corner, and then accelerate when you feel comfortable. Can't really spot a braking zone here other than this light patch of grass, but we're going to be hard on the brakes here from 5th down into 3rd. Keep it on the right hand side, then get it chucked in, and then accelerate up the hill, open up this right hander up into 4th gear, and then get over to the left hand side of the circuit. Just past that sign on the left, we're going to dab the brakes, or be hard on the brakes, go down to 3rd gear, coast into this corner, hold it tight to the right hand side curb, and then accelerate nice and early. You can use the exit curve if you wish. Up into 5th gear as you go down this hill, it's flat out through this left, flat out through this right, and then get over to the left hand side, because that little light patch of Armco, we're going to dab the brakes again, and we're going to go down into 4th gear with our main aim to hit every apex along this right hand side of the circuit. You can see there we accelerated through and kept it to the right. Now we're on the left. The light patch of Armco on the right hand side, we're going to trail brake all the way down this hill from 5th into 3rd gear. Watch this. Down into 4th initially, then we come off the brakes, and then after that apex is when we go down into 3rd. Now you need to hold it tight to the left, get that steering lock in, and then accelerate out around to the middle of the circuit so that it opens up this right hander a little bit easier, and you can maximize your traction out the exit of the corner. Keep it on the left now. We're going to go flat out into this right hander. We're looking for that little toilet on the right hand side. That's where we're going to brake. We're going to go from 5th down into 4th. Now keep those brakes on as you trail brake in, and then patience on the throttle here, accelerating through to the left, and then just before that curb ends, you dab the brake again to get the nose in to that right hander. You keep it in 4th all the way through there. You should be able to accelerate nice and early, but be careful of the rear end as it can get a little bit unstable as you climb up the hill. Flat out now, we're approaching danger zone number 2. The reason I call this danger zone number 2, the braking zone is just before that Yokohama board, by the way, and we're going to go from 5th to 3rd, but it's because people often forget that this corner is coming up. Hit the apex and accelerate out nice and early here to maximize your run, because you've got a nice long straight now. But normally, people get that tricky 4th gear corner done, and then they think that they're on this flat out section. That's what I used to do when I first started learning this circuit. So be careful of that downhill right hander before you get to this next flat out section. So now we've got an easy bit. We can have a breather, we can digest what we've done, we can think about what's coming up. Do not go into 6th gear here though. For some reason, it's quicker to stay in 5th because you're climbing up a hill here and it starts losing speed from around the point you're about to change to 6th. You might as well keep it. A big lift off for this left-hander before you get straight back on the power, and it should make the rest of this flat out, but you will need to put some steering lock in for this right hander to make sure that it is flat. Our next braking zone is the start of the curb on the left hand side. It's going to be a heavy braking zone from 5th down into 3rd. Keep it on the left. It's a tight right hairpin, so you're going to keep it on the left, get down to 3rd, hold it tight to the right hand side, and then start smoothly applying that power. You can see we're feathering that throttle to keep that rear end in check. And now we've got the famous Karussell coming up. The braking zone, this little apex here, as our car is aiming towards that anyway. We're going to dab the brakes, get down to 3rd. You need to keep it down here. Do not cross that ridge of the corner. Keep it in 3rd, accelerate out, and nicely done. Up into 4th on the exit, and we should reach 5th before the next corner as well. Take a quick breather before we get to the next twisty section. So, we're coming over to the right hand side now. We're going to dab the brakes at this paint patch and go from 5th into 4th gear. We're going to keep it in 4th for the next few corners. So get it down to 4th. It starts smoothly accelerating up this hill, keeping the car in check. And then just as we come over the brow of this hill at that paint patch, we're going to dab the brakes again but keep it in 4th. Our main aim is to hit this apex here and hold it tight to the right hand side before accelerating out and down this hill. You're going to be flat out through here. You're then going to turn into this right with a slight lift off, And then at the end of the curb on the right hand side is when we're going to start braking again from 5th down into 4th gear once again. You can mount the curb on the left if you need to. You're going to quickly lift off before you chuck it into this right. Down the hill we go, and at the end of that curb we're going to dab the brakes again. Keep it in 4th gear here as we go through this fast and flowy section. Chuck it into this right hander, accelerate up the hill, get back over to the right hand side. And then this little light patch of Armco before the Yokohama sign, we're going to dab the brakes again, keep it in 4th gear, get it turned into the first apex, coast through, patience on the throttle, keep it on the left hand side on the exit so that you can spot the end of this curb, and you guessed it, we're going to dab the brakes again and keep it in 4th gear, hit this right hand apex, accelerate out, don't cross that curb too much, you'll get a 1x. At the end of this curb you're going to do it once again, dab the brakes, keep it in 4th, get it chucked in, follow the camber of the circuit, hit the apex and then climb your way up the hill in 4th gear, don't run too wide on the exit. Get over to the right hand side. Now this time, this little dark patch of circuit I'm pretty sure is a paint marking that we can't see in this light. You're going to be harder on the brakes down to 3rd for this corner. Hold it tight to the left and then accelerate out. Up through the gears you go. Flat out now over the brow of this hill, keeping it tight to the left. You're going to follow the apex curves left, right, and then over this jump you're going to brake as you land down into 4th gear. Hold it tight to this right hand side all the way round, and then just as you come over the brow, chuck it in left and go up into 5th. You can't really see that left-hander, so you have to kind of guess where it is. And now you can have another breather as it's flat out all the way through here. 5th gear all the way through these. Just follow the flow of the circuit through here. It's a little bit bumpy, it's a little bit sketchy, and you're going to reach 6th on the exit. The next braking zone, a little bit tricky. This little hedge that is poking through the fence, that's where we're going to go on our brakes, and we're going to go down to 5th gear and chuck it into this right-hander before we start accelerating up the hill. And then the end of the fence on the right, we're going to get on those brakes again and go from 5th down into 4th and do the same thing. Chuck it into the apex and then smoothly accelerate up the hill. Now this next corner I think I messed up a little bit on this lap. The braking zone is the paint patch just in front of us. As we cross over that, we're going to go from 4th down into 3rd. And you definitely want to keep it on the inside of this cambered bit. But you can see we touched the curb a little bit and we bounced on the exit. We probably lost about a 10th there. Now I don't go up into 5th here, but you might need to. But I just lift into this right hander and then get straight back on the power and then straight up into 5th. And then there was a secondary lift. Now this corner is possible flat out, but I found that I just kept understeering towards the wall and towards the grass. I did make it the times that I did try it flat out, but it didn't feel that, it just felt too risky, especially in a race situation, even if the race is only 3 laps long or whatever it is. So if you have to have a secondary lift, then do it. I did then. We entered the corner into 4th gear. We pretty much did most of it flat. We just had a quick lift in 5th to get the nose in a little bit more, because you've now got all of this straight to think about what you were doing. And we've only got one corner left. Now when you're on this straight, you've done all the hard work. You've got one series of corners left, and here they are. So you can see here, just as we get to the end of that curve, we start braking, we go down into 5th and start accelerating through. We actually stayed in 6th a bit too long there. Hard on the brakes, we lose 3 tenths through here, watch this. Hard on the brakes down to 3rd gear is what we're aiming for. And you want to get 2 wheels on that right hand side curve so that you can open up this left hander. We missed it, and we then end up being shallower on the exit here, which ruined our run to the line. 3 tenths is what we lost on that one section of corners. If you can get your 2 wheels on the right hand side curve, it will open up that left and you'll increase your run down this main straight. And there we go, that is a lap of the Nordschleife. And now we're going to do it again, full speed, uninterrupted. So as we go down towards the hill, we're looking for the 100-meter board as the grass appears. Hard on the brakes, down into 2nd gear. Get it into that right hand hairpin and now start smoothly applying the power as you climb up the hill. Don't lose the rear end. Quick lift off to get the nose into this left-hander. Once you've hit the apex, start smoothly applying the power, coming right out to the edge of the circuit again. And then just as the green changes to dark, hard on the brakes, down to 2nd, get 2 wheels on the left-hand side curve, accelerate out up into 3rd, quick lift off towards the right apex, and then back on the power, careful of the rear end. You can see the steering wheel a little bit twitchy there on exit. 100-meter board, easiest braking zone on the circuit, down into 3rd gear, hit that first apex, hold it tight, don't start accelerating fully until you know you're going to hit that 2nd apex, and then you climb up the hill towards this left-hander. Dab the brakes, down into 3rd, accelerate through once you hit the apex, back up into 4th, get over to the left-hand side, dab the brakes again, just coast in, and then once you've hit that apex you can smoothly apply the power. Once you know you're going to make the corner, that's when you can put that power on, and away you go. A nice quick flat out section now so that you can gather your head for the chicane. In between the 100 and the 50-meter board, the 75-meter mark, we're going to go from 5th to 4th gear. Here we go, down into 4th, keep 2 wheels on the circuit, start accelerating through. It's quite a fast corner, and then we get over to the right-hand side just before the tyre wall ends. Hard, down to 3rd, get it into the left-hander, careful of the wall on exit and careful of the oversteer. Orange mark, dab the brakes, keep it in 3rd, get it turned in, accelerate out. And now we're on to the Nordschleife. The GP layout done, and the Twisty Section part 1 coming up in the Nordschleife. Flat out through here, flat out through this next left, and then we're going to brake hard halfway down this straight, down into 4th, then down into 3rd for the next apex, and then straight back on the power and back up into 4th on the exit. Get it to the left-hand side of the circuit, end of the curb, down to 3rd, 2 wheels on the right, and then it opens up this left-hander in 3rd gear, back up into 4th on the exit. Hard on the brakes, keep it in 4th, 2 wheels on the right-hand side curb, and it opens up the left-hander so that we can maximise our run. I actually hit the curb there, again, a tiny bit of time to be found there, as it was a little bit scrappy, but we did get a nice run down towards over the hill. As we come over the brow of this hill, we're going to take a quick lift off in 5th gear just so that we can get it turned into this right-hander, and then we're straight back on the power to maximise our run towards this fast left-hand corner. We are going to reach 6th gear here. We want to be on the right-hand side of the circuit once we exit this part, and then we're going to keep it in 6th, and we're just going to lift into this fast right and feather the throttle with our main aim trying to be on the left-hand side of the circuit. Feathering, 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 straight back on the power, end of the curve, hard on the brakes, down to 3rd gear. Get it turned in. Once you've hit the apex, smoothly apply that power again. Actually, do you know what? We pretty much slammed the power on there, and it didn't seem like the rear end got out of check. So try both there and see what happens as we come down the hill towards danger zone number 1. I didn't actually mention the other danger zones, so I'll let you know about them. Here we go, dab the brakes, down to 5th, get it turned in, accelerate. Paint patch, down to 4th, hit the apex, accelerate. Zebra crossing, dab the brakes, down to 3rd, get it turned in, open up this corner and smoothly apply the power all the way through this left and right section. Careful of the rear end, nearly lost it there on exit. Now we've got another quick breather as we can start going downhill again. We're not going to reach 6th, keep it in 5th, and then as you go down the hill, we're just going to dab the brakes at the dark patch. There we go, keep it in 5th, accelerate out. And now where that light patch of grass is, hard on the brakes, down to 3rd, hit the apex, accelerate up the hill, through the right-hander up into 4th. Blue sign on the left, there it is, hard on the brakes, down to 3rd, coast in, hit the apex and accelerate through. Keep it in 3rd now, on the exit, up into 4th, up into 5th, you're going to be flat out through this left, flat out through the right, before we dab the brakes again, just on exit, down to 4th, hold. First apex, second apex, hold it to the right, 3rd apex, and then accelerate out to the left-hand side. Light patch of Armco on the right, trail braking down the hill, down to 3rd eventually, hold it tight to the left, and be careful, make sure you open up this right-hander a little bit so that you can get a nice bit of traction out of that corner. And now, again, we're going to be downhill braking, look for the toilet on the right-hand side, from 5th, down into 4th gear, get it turned in, patience on the throttle here. Accelerate, you're still going downhill, get to the left, quick dab the brakes to get the nose in, and then accelerate up the hill as soon as you can. Careful of the rear end there, it gets a little bit tricky. Now we're approaching danger zone number 2. Why is it danger zone number 2? It's not a tricky corner, it's just very easy to forget if you are not used to this circuit. Yokohama sign just before it, hard on the brakes, down to 3rd, coast in. It's a deceivingly fast corner. You can get on the throttle really early there, and you need to because you've got a long, flat out section up this hill now, where you're not going to reach 6th gear. Keep an eye on the speedo there. We reach around 222 kilometers an hour, I think, on the one on the dash, and then we start going steeper uphill, so it hovers around there, so there's no point in reaching 6th. There really is, because now it starts losing speed, so you might as well keep it in this 5th to carry that extra couple of kilometers an hour. We're going to take a big lift off here into this left, straight back on the power again. We go down to around 200 kilometers an hour to make sure that we make that corner, and then it's flat out all the way through here. Really open up this right-hander, and we're going to brake as soon as the curb appears on the left-hand side. There it is, hard on the brakes, down to 3rd, hold it tight to the right-hand side, smoothly apply the power. You can see we just feathered the exit there in case we lost the rear end. It must have felt like we were going to lose it. We're looking for the right-hand side apex, which is there. Dab the brakes, down to 3rd. Keep it on the inside of the carousel, feathering the throttle all the way round, and then once you feel comfortable, flat out on the exit. Flat out through here, up into 4th. Keep it on the right-hand side, up into 5th. Right-hand side curve, left-hand side apex. Get over to the right-hand side again. Paint patch. Dab the brakes, down to 4th. Smoothly accelerate up the hill, hold it to the right, back over to the left, paint patch over the brow of the hill, keep it in 4th, hold it to the right, accelerate out, hold it to the left. You should just about reach 5th as you start turning into this right-hander. Quick lift off, and as the curb ends, dab the brakes, keep it in 4th. Flat out, quick lift off into the right, flat out, all the way through this fast section. Curb ends, dab the brakes, keep it in 4th, flat out up the hill, get back to the right-hand side when you can. Dab the brakes at the paint patch, keep it in 4th, hit the first apex, patience. Accelerate down the hill, curb ends, dab the brakes again, into the right-hander, don't run too wide, you'll get a 1x. Dab the brakes again, keep it in 4th, accelerate out up the hill, And then this one is where we're going to brake for third gear. Just as the dark patch appears, dab the brakes, hold it to the right hand side in third gear, and then away we go. Now we are flat out all the way through here. I guess we could call this next bit danger zone number 3. It's where the jump is. As you land is where you brake. Dab the brakes down to 4th, hold it to the right hand side if you can, accelerate, and you can't see. You need to start turning into this left. You need to predict where it is because you can't see it as you climb up that hill, and then it's flat out all the way through here. Flat out still, flat out through this right hander, flat out through this left, flat out through this right, and then we've got these smooth uphill right and left corners. Just as the hedge pokes through the fence, down into 5th, hit the apex, smoothly apply the power up the hill, dab the brakes again, down to 4th, smoothly apply the power up the hill, and then we've got the mini carousel where we brake on the paint patch down to 3rd, keep it on the inside of this, try not to hit that inside curve like we did, and then away you go up into 4th gear. You might reach 5th here, but we're going to lift off into this right hander in 4th, and then straight back on the power to keep it flat out as much as we can. We're staying to the left to open up this right hander. You can see we did have to lift as we went up into 5th gear, but you should be able to do that. I'm pretty certain you can do that flat out. It might scrub the tyres a bit, but it's only a 3-lap race, so it shouldn't be a problem. And now we're on the back stretch. I mentioned earlier in this track guide about the reset button as the reason the time isn't showing. In case you didn't know, if you actually, instead of doing the full Nordschleife, if you take the GP final corner, the hairpin, and then stop, and then click the little circle in the top right rather than escape, it will reset you to this back straight, so you don't have to keep doing a full out lap before you do your time lap. But for some reason it glitches out the timing system every now and then. Fast through here. We should be 5th here, and then as we go to this, keep it to the left hand side, get it in 3rd, and get your 2 wheels on that right hand side curb there so that it opens up this left hander. We did that wrong. I can't stress enough that we did that final corner wrong, but this took so long to get a full lap together. So that one corner was not worth trying to redo this lap time. But that is pretty much it from me. You've seen what we can do. And I'm not a Nordschleife specialist at all. It did take me a while to learn. I've done a couple of track guides here before though, so now I kind of have the layout in my head. But as usual, that is pretty much it from me, so I'm going to leave you with this offboard lap. Don't forget to keep those likes and comments coming in, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. At the start of this year, we sort of brazenly said that we were aiming for 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. We are nearly in November. Halloween is around the corner. We've got 2 months, and I think we're about 2,700 away, so it's looking unlikely that we're going to reach the 10k mark, but well, we will eventually, but I don't know if we're going to reach it by the end of the year, but who knows what's going to happen through November and December. So anyone you know who iRaces or races in general, get them to hit that subscribe button if they haven't already, and don't forget to tune into the Jetta Cup on Mondays. As usual, that is pretty much it from me. I know this has been a long one, but if I don't see you on track this week, then I'll see you next week for the next video here on the Racing Line. Peace. Bye.